Hey, welcome back to the Travel Ones podcast. Today, my guest is the one and only Vince Papale. He's a ex-football player, more recently a proud dad, uh, proud husband. Had a movie made about him called Invincible with Mark Wahlberg and a Disney movie. So super excited to have Vince Papale on the show. How are you today, Vince?
That's great, Pete, man. It's great to be with you. We had a great conversation prior to coming on. It's really cool.
I know we
So,
had to make I had to make hurry up and hit the record button so we can get some. Yeah,
I- yeah, we'd have run out of time. There are no more time zones left. So it's great.
exactly.
It was really cool. Just talking about kids, basically our family and kids and
Yeah.
some stuff. I can't wait to do this. I was so excited about doing this podcast because this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, in travel and entertainment and, some of the things you have to do to get to where you got to get to. And I've been to some pretty fun places thanks to Invincible and places I never would have gotten to. I would never go into cities, if it weren't for the NFL and getting that opportunity. So it's pretty cool. I'm a lucky man.
Oh, I'm sitting there going, okay, one of the things I'd like to talk about, obviously, is traveling in the 70s for an NFL team is a lot different than how they travel today.
Mhm.
And just being in the NFL is a lot different. I mean, I remember my dad telling me stories in Cleveland in the off season because they weren't multimillionaires. You'd see Cleveland Brown players walking around selling insurance door to door and doing odd jobs because it wasn't a big cash grab.
Mhm.
Is
Well,
it
you know the expression taxi squad?
what's that?
Have you ever heard the expression taxi squad?
Sure,
And
sure.
you know how that came about?
Hmm.
It was prior to then, they were getting so little money that a yellow cab used to hire a lot of the former players or off-season players and have them. They were taxi drivers.
There you go.
So they affectionately were known as it was a taxi squad. Now it's a practice squad.
Yeah.
And I mean, back when I was playing in '76, listen, Pete, I signed for 21,000. After that tryout, we could talk about that when you want, if you want. But after that tryout, they pulled me up and signed me for 21 grand and gave me a $2,000 roster bonus if I made the team. Oh, and I got 2 season tickets. And I thought I was a rich man, because I was
Yeah.
teaching school for 6 years, working on my master's and a head coach, and not even making $12,000. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I can work for 6 months and
Yeah.
do this. But what coach used to do, and this was Coach Ramil, is to encourage guys to come in and train in the city of Philadelphia and train with our athletic trainer that we had there, and uh, our weight guy, and that was Gus Hoffling, and he trained Roman Gabriel, Mike Schmidt, Steve
Yeah.
Carlton, some of the best athletes that ever come out of Philadelphia, and they would give him $500 stipend a month for rent. I mean, you can't even get a bathroom. You
Yeah.
can't get a porta potty for $500 now. But they would pay guys to come in and work out. And they might even have some change left over. But now it's a whole different ball game. And they shut it down for a little bit. But the guys are getting so much money. Everybody lives within the neighborhood and gets involved in the neighborhood, which
Yeah.
is pretty cool. God bless them. I mean,
Oh yeah,
they,
yeah.
the way you get tossed around out there on that field, you get what you can get.
For as long as you can.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
kind of what
yeah.
I'm talking
Well,
about. Talking to
uh,
25, 26-year-olds that are retired from football, and you're like, wow, okay.
and what do you do? Where do you go?
Yeah.
I was so lucky because I had a fallback. My fallback was I could have gone back and taught school, and at my alma mater where I had been for 6 years prior to the tryout. But lo and behold, something came up, an opportunity to work for the CBS affiliate in Philadelphia. And I was there for 2 or 3 years, and then they brought a guy back in from Chicago that was there, that was there before I was playing, brought me back, and he and I didn't quite see eye to eye, so I was dismissed from my TV job. But I did radio, and actually did the pre and post game for the 76ers when they beat the Lakers for the World Championship way back,
Yeah, yeah.
with Dr. J, and that was really cool. And but that morning drive, man, you got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was single, man. I wasn't at 4 o'clock I was just coming in at 4 o'clock in the morning,
Exactly.
I sometimes I just go right to the studio.
Yeah.
But that got over real quick. And then we were talking, about sales and you doing the Stetson thing, which is really cool. And I got into mortgages, and then I had done that, and I got into student loans, and then poop, that this movie Invincible comes out in 2006 and totally changed my life.
I was gonna say that had to be life changing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. I'm watching. I was like, I don't watch the Oscars. I mean, I just can't get into it. Once they started turning the other way, and
yeah,
come on, let's just entertain people. I don't care about this side or that side or what side of the fence you're on. I just want to be entertained. But man, I went to some of the greatest back then in the beginning with the ESPYS,
yeah.
with Disney, a Disney movie, and ESPN and ABC. They own all that. That's all part of that conglomerate. Going to the ESPYS and going to the Oscars parties. Oh my, my head was like Linda Blair and Exorcist. I wouldn't know that, but you would. My head spinning around, and just, oh my, I can't believe I'm talking to this, and they thought I was pretty cool because because first of all, Mark Wahlberg
Yeah.
was pretty big out in Hollywood even back then, and so it was what an experience. I just experienced it a couple weeks ago out in Vegas.
At the Super
Peter,
Bowl.
yeah, I went to a Legends, but we're not alumni anymore. We're legends. So went to the Legends party, which was at Caesars, which was really cool. And go in there, and I'm being introduced to these guys, and they, oh man, you're the guy from the movie,
Sure.
and which like was, I didn't, and I'm talking to guys that are like, I would watch on TV,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
would, God, and then be out on the field playing against them. What an experience! It's so cool.
I had that same experience. That's where I met you at the media days. And when I'm there, it's weird. Lawrence Taylor just walking by you, and you're like, "That's Lawrence Taylor." It's like, yeah,
Yeah, well, it's pretty cool because once you get in there,
yeah,
you're sort of you're in the safety zone, and you know why you're there,
yeah,
and if you're not willing to give of yourself to those like you're talking to you, Pete, or whomever else, if you're not willing to give of that and to participate, then you don't belong there. There's just no reason for you to be there. But they're there because they want to be there.
sure.
Lawrence Taylor might be looking for this, and for me, I was there. I was there because of a buddy of mine, Eric Swan, which is one of the greatest stories ever. He came into the NFL right out of high school after 1 year of semi-pro football, and he was with the Cardinals. And Eric Swan,
Yeah,
so,
stud.
and I knew enough people at Radio Row, and to be able to maybe introduce Eric to the world. And we're working. I'm actually teaming up with him to see if we can't get something on, either a documentary or something. But it's a
Okay.
great story. Well, what it's like there. You see these guys, like The Rock.
Yeah,
Like I met The Rock when he was doing a game plan. My kids were kids. This was right after we shot Invincible. And it turns out that The Rock, he's one of he's one of the principals of the UFL, which is the combined
sure.
XFL, USFL that my son plays in. And I just missed him by a minute. And, I was more excited about The Rock being there than anything else, I wanted to see him. But, I just run into so many guys. It's like pretty cool. One was Charlie Johnson, man. He was my, oh God, a tight end for the Eagles. It'll come to me. 86, and he came up to me, USC guy, and he came up to me.
Charlie Young.
Yeah, Charlie Young, right? Charlie Young is, whoa, my God, it was so cool to just see him. It made my day. So,
Yeah, I talked to him last week.
yeah,
We've
well,
stayed in touch since then.
oh, you have his number. Do me a favor if you can, just send me his number. I'd
Yeah,
love to
yeah.
have
He's down in Austin.
that, because he disappeared. You're there, you're in an interview, and he sort of gives me this hug and a kiss from behind, and he's going,
Yeah.
It's his stuff for Charlie Young to disappear. He's a big boy.
He came up to me out of nowhere and he goes, "I like your hat, young man." I go, "Thank
Oh,
you."
really? That's Charlie.
Yeah,
He just had the greatest personality. He was the sweetest guy in the world.
yeah,
He
yeah.
just, he was always one step off the line of scrimmage for Coach Ramil, so that was the end of him. And the Eagles traded straight up with Ron Jaworski for Charlie Young, and that's how we got Jaws into Philadelphia.
Oh, that's crazy. He didn't tell me that.
Yeah,
Yeah, he had
well,
some good stories. I'm gonna have him on the show hopefully soon.
yeah. Well, tell him I said hi.
Absolutely. Yeah, Steve Largent came over and said hi to us because he played with him in
Steve
Seattle.
Largent, are you kidding? I didn't know he was there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there talking to Charlie, and Steve walks up and I'm like, oh, that's Steve Largent.
Yeah, I mean, but he was the man. You know, my
Yeah.
son's my idol was Tommy McDonald. And as a matter of fact, you know, I have a house in Philadelphia, and Janet's there now. My wife Janet's there now, and she says, "Hey, I'm bringing home an extra suitcase." She said, "What should I bring?" And I said, "Oh, there's this great picture of Tommy McDonald catching a touchdown pass in the championship in '60 against Green Bay, and he's just slid off into the snow, big snow pile in the end zone, and he's being surrounded by everybody. But that picture is so iconic." And I said, please, I don't want anything of me. I just want that picture of Tommy McDonald to remind me of my youth and, you know, a guy that I dreamed that I'd someday be and be a friend of. And here we were. We became the best of friends. It's cool stuff, man. I tell you,
Did
going from being a school teacher to the NFL was really, really cool.
about ooh, I don't know. It had to be about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. You might have received a Tommy McDonald trading card in the mail.
Hmm.
That was from me.
No kidding. You're kidding. Wow.
Yeah, because after I talked to Dennis on the show,
Hmm.
I was like, because I asked Dennis, I said, was he really a Tommy McDonald fan, or was that just in the movie? He goes, no, no, that was his boy.
Yeah, that was my guy. Yeah, Dennis. We lost him a couple of years ago, right
So
on
I
the bump.
mailed you my Tommy McDonald trading card that I had.
How about that? Yeah,
So you
it's
can,
around somewhere. It's
yeah.
either my desk here or my desk in Philly. I'll get that and I'll supersize it. I'll super frame it right there. And that picture. But, you know, if you don't have idols, you
Mine
know,
was Dick Buckus.
yeah. Oh, Jesus. And he kicked some butt, didn't he?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
man.
I saw him in Phoenix at the radio days, and then he passed
Mhm.
away just a few months later.
Yeah, oh boy,
So
the loss. But yeah, the stories about Butkus, pretty good stuff. And he was a gentleman, you know, when he was off to. But that's the
yeah,
way it.
I met him a couple times. He was super nice. Just most I don't know. Most of the players I've met have been nice.
Well, why shouldn't they be?
Yeah, I mean, you hope they are.
Yeah, but they're just us that happen to get paid to do something other than sell Stetson or
Yeah, yeah.
insurance, themselves, you know, whatever. So, you know, and now, Jesus, with a free agency, oh my God, you know, the money that's being thrown around. You kidding me? Jeez, oh
How about
man.
even in college now?
Oh yeah,
The
because and they have
NIL.
a portal, name it, what's it, yeah, they would name like us or whatever it is, you know, that the high school kids are, you know, kids are
Yeah,
coming out driving Mercedes Benzes. What's going on?
legally now.
Whatever happened to loyalty and you know to teams and commitment and you know with the transfer portal? Oh well, you
Yeah.
know I got I'm in second string now. I don't know if I go somewhere else. You know.
Saban said that was part of the reason why he
Yeah,
retired.
yeah,
Said it's
yeah,
just not the same.
yeah, yeah. Well, a lot's not the same. The NFL's not the same.
So, of all the places you've been to so far, what's been the most influential city or place that you've visited?
Well, yeah, I was rethinking that. One of them was I was just in San Diego after I saw you guys out at the at the Vegas. I flew to San Diego
Yeah.
for a watch party, and there was and we were there. I was at the Hyatt, and we're right across the street is basically is right around is the San Diego Stadium,
Jack
and it
Murphy.
was the
Yeah.
first pro stadium I ever played in a preseason game, and I'll never forget that and how emotional it was for me to be there. And we had 6 preseason games back then in '76. And to be there standing with number 83 in an Eagles uniform on the sideline, listening to the national anthem, crying like a baby, you know. And I finally got into the game after the 2-minute warning, and I made a couple catches against that, and I made a defensive read, and that gave me 2 more weeks of training camp. You know, it's like a matter of survival. It's the real survival. It's not what you
Yeah.
see on TV. It's not scripted. It really happened. And that was pretty exciting. But then, you know, after the movie and stuff, and I befriended a friend of mine. His name is Amato Berardi, and they had this event in Philadelphia. It was an Italian American event. I used to be the MC all the time. They were giving these awards out in the city of Philadelphia to an Italian American. Like, you know, there's no
Yeah.
Italian American. Yo, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? And so I'm giving these awards out. So Amato, as it turned out, was he was in the Italian Parliament, and he represented anybody that had a dual citizenship in the Americas. So South America, North
Okay.
America, Canada, those kinds of things. And he and I and my family were friends forever. So he said, "Come on, let's go and let's take Invincible to Italy. And we went and we took it to Italy. And guess where we took it to? The Parliament. And next thing you know, after they showed the movie and it had English subtitles, which was really cool, Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg all his jabbers in Italian, which was so cool in the Italian Parliament. And afterwards, they bring me up and they give me this plaque and this award, and it's in here somewhere. And they made me a knight. I'm a cavaliere in Italy. I mean, that was like, are you? And then we were showing the movie in these little towns in Italy, and they would have like a projector, they would have a movie projector and they'd have the screen that, it's just like you see in a commercial sometime. And that's how it was. And, all the wine, the pasta was everything there. And we traveled to about 4 or 5 these little towns in Italy and did that. That was, and guess what? We're going to resurrect that probably coming up. So we're going to be going to Italy. Yeah, I got that. That was one of the ones that was the most influential. And just as we spoke, before, Pete, about going into some cities and places that I probably never would have visited in the first place. I would never think to do it. And and I got there. I got into Cleveland. I don't know if I would have gone to St. Louis. I know I would have been in LA, but to play in the Coliseum, pretty good. San Francisco, to be up there. That was the schools that got. I didn't get a chance to play in Oakland, but got to play them in Philadelphia. And I was telling you, being Cleveland, having played in the Cleveland Stadium, and but the ones that were really, really impressive was the Coliseum, and also Chicago. At the
Wrigley Field.
Yeah, and it was just I couldn't believe it. And then which was really cool was to be in Washington and playing in RFK Stadium. So we played in all those dual stadiums with the baseball teams.
Yeah.
This one guy must have made a mint, because between Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, and Philadelphia, we all basically had the same stadium, with the AstroTurf, and it was a combination baseball football stadium.
Yeah. Oakland, same way. I remember that.
It was quite a coup, but just to get, just to go and play them. But to play in the Meadowlands was really cool.
That was one of the first AstroTurf fields, right? That and I think the Superdome.
And also AstroTurf. Oh yeah, I played in the Astrodome. Yeah, I played in the Astrodome, and that's how they got the name AstroTurf from the Astrodome. And I actually out here, it sort of has a reputation of being the worst turf ever in the history of all sports. And I have these little placemats around my doors, my front and back door of my house here in Jupiter, Florida, and it's the original turf that I got from the stadium, which is pretty cool. So sometimes people, when they come and I have fun with them, I said, "Come here, let me show you something." I said, "Give me your elbow, just give me your elbow," and I start rubbing their elbow on the surface. "What are you doing? You're crazy." I said, "That's the turf that we played on." And that's all we had. We had about like a ½ inch of foam underneath, rubber foam. And I said, that was it. It was just right on asphalt.
That's why I tell people, I go, the stuff they play on now is 1.5 inches. It's got 1 inch of rubber, and then it's got padding underneath and everything else. Yeah. I said, back in the day, I mean, Beverly Hills High School still has the old AstroTurf.
Was it really?
Because my daughters played lacrosse, and so we'd go and play them in lacrosse. And it was it's hard. It's like, it's just hard pan. And, and so when they play on it, they're like, "Oh my God, this stuff is brutal." And I go, "Yeah, that's the old stuff."
And it's hot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cooking.
Yeah. The first game I played against the Cowboys, they had the original turf, and so they have the opening in the stadium, and man, the sun was beating down, and it was like 110, 150. Your feet
in the summer.
Yeah. Like, Vinny, my son Vinny, when they're playing, he was playing in Birmingham, and he was playing, all the games were being played in Birmingham, and if he had an afternoon game, it'd be 110, 120. So my feet would be burning out there on the field. It's coming away with blisters. But hey, you know what? It's all part of the game, and that's why they call it a home field advantage. But some fun stadiums and some great places to be to. And now with the speaking, I've got to see some funky stuff, so it's pretty cool.
I was going to say, now, do you think you travel more now than when you did when you were a player?
Oh, no question. When we were a player, we traveled once a week, and back in the day, we had 14 games to begin with and 6 preseason. Now they have what, 17 games, and they should just scratch the preseason. I mean, they don't do it. It's like it's like two-hand touch, for crying out loud. These new training camps that they've got. But yeah, we traveled. I traveled. When we traveled, we were talking about that. It's sort of the same as it was. We went charter, and we flew whatever airlines we flew, and we had the same crew the whole time,
Yeah.
which was really cool. We had the same pilot. His name was Captain Bob, and he would invite us up, and I'd be sitting there in the co-pilot seat. Well, I mean, it's the coolest thing in the world.
Can't do it no more.
Do that stuff anymore, but that's the way it was back in the day,
Yeah.
and then you got to your hotel. You always went in the night before, the day before, and then as soon as the game was over, they load you up and go. There was no security.
Yeah.
I flew. So the next time I'd ever flown, I was doing a thing for Dick Vermeil in San Francisco and Napa, with NFL Films. They wanted me to do a feature, and I was doing some stuff with films and ESPN NFL. So I did a feature on Dick Vermeil and his winery that he has up there in Carmel and Calistoga. And when I got onto the plane and got on the plane for the first time, I was shocked that I had to go through a security check and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And this was one of the coolest things. I can tell the story now. So after the games would be over, back in the day, I'm talking now 76, 78. So they would give you refreshments, and they'd give you a box of lunch, dinner, whatever it was afterwards. And the refreshments were, they either give you 2 sodas or they give you 2 cans of beer. So I used to always get next to the guys that were the Christian athlete guys. And so I would swap off, and it was great. That's why we had so much fun back there. I mean, this is the NFL. I'm watching all this on TV, and this is the NFL. Oh my God, I can't believe this is so cool.
That's got to be kind of surreal, though. I mean,
You kidding me? It still is.
to be what I consider a normal guy, and all of a sudden you're.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine being that big of a fan of a team. Like for me, my team was the Chargers in the Don Coryell, Air Coryell years.
Oh yeah, I love the Chargers.
It was 77 to about 82, 83. Because I lived in San Diego, so we used to go to the games, and I couldn't imagine then being on the team.
Oh,
It's unbelievable. Yeah, with Lance Allworth and yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
back then they had Charlie Joyner, John Jefferson, Kellen Winslow, Dan Fouts. I mean, they were.
Oh, you had them all. I mean, they were the legends. And that's when they had the mergers coming up between them and the NFL.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. And you hit it right on the head, Pete, because imagine now I'm a season ticket holder, and I'm in the stands, and I'm watching all these guys, and and I see Harold Carmichael and Roma Gabriel, and whomever the running backs were, whatever the players were, not to name one. Bill Berge, Billy Bradley. I love Bill Bradley, and some of the other guys. And then in training camp the next year, now I'm a season ticket holder for 10 years and just loving the Eagles to death. And then the next year be in training camp and on the field with these guys. The first week of camp was the rookies and free agents.
Yeah.
And that's how the Pops thing came up, because they didn't have, none of the big guys came except for Roma Gabriel. He was the quarterback. Well, Gabe and I had worked out for 3 months prior to training camp after I had the tryout. And so we had a connection, and I was just, everything he was throwing to me, all the time and everything. And I was, hitting guys like crazy and blowing them up, because back then you could blow up a defensive back. You could block below the waist. You could spear a guy. Yeah, I mean, you could get away with just about anything.
That's Jack Tatum.
Except for hitting a guy, in the noggin, which you wouldn't want to do. So I'm just tearing it up with this, and then all of a sudden the veterans come in, and I'm in there in defense, and I'm against, a guy that was somebody that was like one of my biggest idols, not idols, but I cheered for. And I backed off. I backed off from all my hitting and everything else. And coach came up to me. He says, well, you're not the same guy you were last week. Are you intimidated by these guys? I said, not intimidated. I said, in a physical way, I'm intimidated in an emotional way, because they're like, they're my guys, man. And I don't want to hurt. He says, I'm going to tell you what. He says, half of these guys are going to be gone. He said, get your head out of your butt. I'll give you 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and let's go. And next thing you know, all right, here we go, and I did not make too many friends in that portion of training camp. And then as in the movie, that big play against the Giants that I made at the end of the game, I actually had several hits and a forced fumble. Actually, I forced 13 fumbles in my rookie year, which I think still pretty cool, event. But anyway, I got invited to my first team party, and that's when I was accepted by the team. And then the next year, they voted me captain. But I would go to a city, Pete, and let's say I'd go to Cleveland, and I'd go to Cleveland, I'd go to Chicago. And next thing you know, the headlines the next day is about this guy, the real life Rocky.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Sylvester felt about that, but it was always this real life Rocky thing going out because it was happening right when Rocky was coming out. And then I would have some of my teammates would give me a little bit of crap about it.
I was
And it was
gonna say.
more than just hazing. I mean, they were sincerely jealous or upset about it. And some of the other guys in the other team would, I remember one game where I was featured in a national TV thing on NBC about teaching somebody how to do what I did. And then, a defensive back from the Cardinals, he's just swinging his fist in front of my face. He's, I'm going to clock you. And he did. But I warned the ref, so he got 15. But, that was the stuff I had to deal with as a rookie. And then, my next year was, but still, to be out there, or like we were talking about, to be at the events and, to be at the Super Bowl and to be at Radio Row and to see these guys and the recognition that they had from me. And to me, they were the star, they were the legend, but they knew my story, and they would, oh, wow, man, that was really cool what you did. And it's pretty wild still pinching myself.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like I can only imagine because, well, for one, it was just different, I think, back then. I mean, being a player, wasn't as flashy as I perceive it to be now.
Yeah, well, we weren't as flashy. I mean, there were some guys who were pretty flashy, but
Yeah, but I mean, just like
LT was one of them.
social media, like the
Yeah, well, we didn't
advertisements.
have it. Well, that was a great thing. We didn't have it. We didn't have to
Yeah,
look around wondering who's taking a picture of you.
yeah.
But they would have this one feature they had in Philadelphia, and it's called "I Was Spotted." And
Oh
people
shit.
would call in to the morning radio guy and say, "Hey, I saw Vince Papale and Charles Barkley, and Lou Tilley. Charles and Lou Tilley was a TV sportscaster. Me, we were hanging out one time somewhere, just having fun.
Yeah,
Next thing you know, and then the phone calls come running into the house, and that was pre-social media. But now you just got to be squeaky clean, and with the money they're
yeah.
getting paid. But and then I mean, it's just social media is, wow, it's just a killer, man. I tell you, I I do not say any opinions on social media. I keep it all. Yeah, I got kids I got to protect, and I have.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's something, Vinny's gonna have to, Vinny has to deal with. And
yeah,
I mean,
just had to deal with it. When the movie came out, it wasn't easy. Oh,
yeah,
you got to where you got because your old man was Philadelphia Eagle. You got this movie Invincible. You're just a piece of this. But it's because you're pop. But it's like try to convince my kids, hey, the reason you did is because you're talented.
yeah,
They got there and they've all reached pretty high levels of success and whatever they've done athletically, intellectually, sports wise, business wise.
sure.
But something made them tougher. They didn't use it as an excuse. They used it as a motivation. I could have used my mother's mental illness. My mother was severely mentally ill when I was growing up. I could have used that as an excuse for being a dirtball, going the other way. But I had coaches and teachers that believed in me, that took me under their wing, and that's why I wound up being a school teacher, to reward them and to honor them and to thank them for how they basically saved my life. My dad, tough guy, Italian guy, his
Yeah,
father, a pig farmer. I mean, he's working to survive. It's a whole different ball game back in the 50s and 60s,
yeah,
and the development and the way you treat things in your family. You've already mentioned your girls a couple of times, and I've mentioned mine a couple of times.
yeah,
It's the fabric of our life. Back then, it's more like survival, and you just go with it. But it wasn't easy for them, and now, still with Vinny, every once in a while. He's got to deal with it. Hey, Invincible, what's going on? But
Oh, it
he's
could be so much worse.
yeah, he's been through it, so he can figure it out.
Well, you did name him as a junior, so it's a little rough. Not
Now he's
knowing, obviously not knowing you were going to have a movie made about you at the time.
yeah, well, I was never thinking of that. Actually, it's the Italian thing. It's not he's not a junior. My father is Francis Joseph Papale.
Yeah.
I'm Vincent Francis Papale, and Vinny is Vincent Joseph Papale. So you have to have you want to
Different
try to
middle
have
name.
a name in there, or at least the first letter, And so he became Vinny immediately.
Yeah.
Just kind of calls him Vincenzo. But. And Vinny actually is going to be an Italian citizen. He just came back from Italy and got all the papers and
Oh, nice.
possibility, that things might happen with Vinny and Italy in the future. So it's pretty exciting.
It's interesting because I can share with you a guy. I played high school football with a guy named Jimmy Ray, and at the time I didn't know he was the third, but his dad was the offensive coordinator for the Rams at the time.
Agreed.
And Jimmy Ray's junior, the dad, Coach Ray, played at Michigan State, won national championship in 64, 65 with Michigan State as a quarterback. They wouldn't draft him as a quarterback, so into the NFL because he was black. So he got drafted as a safety, got hurt, and then was a coach. But the whole time I went to high school with Jimmy, I never knew his dad was the OC for the Rams. He never talked about it.
Kidding.
And I didn't know until they did like a 30 for 30 thing on Coach Ray. And I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea that was. And I still talk to Jimmy's back office guy for I think the Lions now.
Mhm.
And but the whole time growing up, he never talked about his dad.
Mhm.
Like I just never
Anyway,
knew.
it might obviously the last name, because and he's playing ball, but
Yeah,
he, just you or you, and same thing for Gabrielle.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Tough. Yep. But hey, I do this thing when I'm speaking, and I say, some of the obstacles you got to go through, and it basically comes down to it's resentment. It's resentment, and it's caused by insecurity, and that they don't have the guts to do what you want to do, and that's all fueled by jealousy, and it works for all levels. I'll be speaking out in Nashville. I'll be speaking to Castro Oil, been around for how many years? 125 years.
yeah.
Anytime it's got a lubricant for cars that's been around, and that'd be one of the things that I'll talk about. That we've got to go. Oh, you can't do it; it'll never be done. Or with them, the only reason you got here is because your name. But those things you got to deal with it. So that's all part of life. And again, it goes back to use that as your strength and a motivation for doing it for whatever reason, as opposed for an excuse for failing, because it's a ready-made excuse.
About your speaking, how many events do you do a year typically?
About two a month now. When the movie first came out,
Oh,
I was on the road all the time, and it's been interesting travel, first class travel, and
yeah,
in and out of the city. If I'm going to do an event in let's say LA, not too far from you, I fly direct to LA, and then they take me to the event, and I'd be there the night before. I'd give the event on the day of, and then come back, or I could stay at the city if I wanted, but that cost would be on me. But
right.
right now I'm down to about two a month, which is fine.
That's
I'm
a
real
lot
excited
though.
about going to Nashville. I'll be in Nashville on the 19th and 20th. And and I know some people there, so because I'm taking care of my own travel, I'm able to extend that trip. And then I was just telling you right before we came on the air, I'm real excited about heading out to Carmel and speaking to the Bass Underwriters Insurance. And while we're out there, we're going to go up to Calistoga and see a Dick Vermeil's winery, and hopefully Coach will be there. And then from there, we're going to go right from San Francisco over to Memphis and watch Vinny play, because you can get a direct flight.
Yeah,
So with me and where I am is it's just right around the corner. It's the greatest it's the greatest airport in the world. It's the West Palm Beach PBI Palm Beach International Airport. And it's pretty, so let's say that the PGA tournament,
yeah,
it's just literally filled up with all private jets. And it's right there where Mar-a-Lago is, for crying out loud. It's like a par 5 from Mar-a-Lago. But there's very few direct flights to some of the cities that I'm going into. It's direct to Dallas. You can get direct to LA and San Francisco. You get direct to Philly. That's the important thing. It's only a 2-hour flight to Philly, which is fine.
From PBI.
Yeah, PBI, yeah. So, but then we have Fort Lauderdale's an hour south, a minute, or Miami's, and now they have these really great speed lines right here. That's another part of the travel you forget about. That is, we have the Bright Line, and that's just takes you right down at about 120 miles an hour, 3 stops, and there's a shuttle that takes you right over to the airport, which is pretty cool. So that's a fun trip.
I was going to ask you, I mean, did you, because you're traveling so much, where you moved to Jupiter, was that part of the equation? Like, you got to be somewhat close to an airport that could get you in and out. I mean,
yeah, well, I never really thought of it. It's like when we were saying prior to, that Blue Lives Matter flag there. It's from a golf tournament I played in 8 years ago. I was invited down to speak to what's called COPS, Concerns of Police Survivors, and it's for the survivors of fallen officers. And never even thought that I would be living here. And I came down on my own because Janet, every time I travel and do an event, Janet always travels with me. She's a big part of it.
Yeah. I met her at Meter Row.
We're an invincible team and we like to do that. But when I came down for this, he asked me what my fee was, and my fee was pretty much more than what I was making, when I was making my rookie year with the Eagles. I mean, that's kind of, whoa, you're out of your mind. You paying me for it? Just get up on stage for 45 minutes. But these guys, I did it for a couple beers and a hotel room.
Yeah.
And I met the greatest people in the world. And, little did I know anything about Jupiter, not knowing about all the former professional athletes, current professional athletes, everybody here, our kind of environment. And Janet, my wife, when I met her in 92, she lived on a golf course just right south of Palm Beach. And so the next year I had just written a book. And in this book that Janet and I had written, because Janet was on the USA World Gymnastics team and coach at the University of Pennsylvania. We wrote a book about potential. And so they invited us to come to the golf tournament again, right here in Jupiter.
Oh.
And she activated her because she was a realtor. She'd been for 41 years.
Yeah.
And she activated a realtor's license here. And we found this house, a little gem on Turtle Creek Golf Club, they call it. And renovated it, and here we've been since COVID. So I never even thought about it. Didn't even think about airports,
right?
And figured out, I can go to Fort Lauderdale. That's only an hour. I can go to the other one. That's only, it is what it is. So it's part of the deal, man. You got to be able to, you have to be able to sort of budget your time, budget. So it works. It works. And sometimes, I'm not a real fan of being on a plane. Like the last time we did a nonstop out there to Vegas, for all the stuff that was going on with the Super Bowl. I was able to get a nonstop, and it was in the plane for 6.5 hours. I'm like, and I'm, because I have Janet going with me, I pass up on the first class and I'll take 2 coach. I mean, that's the compromise that I do in order to be able to bring Janet with me. And so I don't have a problem if whatever Dallas, whatever I can always go through Dallas. I always go through Atlanta. I can always go
Dallas.
through. And with Vinny's games, and most of his games are east of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
It's a piece of cake. I'll go through I'll go through wherever I go. I'll go through Charlotte. I'll go through Atlanta.
Nashville, wherever.
Some places I'll rent a car and take a 2-hour drive instead of doing the connection, which is fun.
I do that. My daughter lives outside of Knoxville, but I fly into Nashville because they don't do direct to Knoxville out of LA. So I fly into Nashville and then I just do it's about a 3-hour drive, but it's a real drive. It's not like California driving. Just
oh yeah, and well, with Vinny, when he in the first year of the USFL, all the games were held in Birmingham, and so there he is. He's got his place in Birmingham, but all the games are going to be in Birmingham. So the easiest way to go would be to fly to Atlanta, rent a car, go across Route 20, 120 miles, get that done. It's right there at the airport, and you're in Birmingham in less than an hour and a half at 80 miles an hour. Boom. And I have
give or take.
the hotel that I'm going to, there's a great quality in there. You
Yep.
know, I mean, that setup that they have there in Birmingham for the stadium, and right there that they have, you know, University of Alabama and all the bars and restaurants and everything. You know, before you know it, they all knew who we were. Yeah, hey, coming in for Vinny's game again. Hey, Mr. P, what's going on? You know, I mean, you're part of the fabric of that city. And that was great. I would have never gone to Birmingham. I played there one
Yeah.
time when I was playing in the World Football League, but I never, you know, I certainly would have, I might have gone to Memphis just to, you know, to sniff the Elvis thing. But, you know, now I'm there all the time. I know Memphis like my backhand.
It's pretty crazy because I do that now when I travel, even going to Hawaii, for work. It's different when you go for work versus just being on vacation. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, you're on.
Yeah, my wife's always available for that trip. So,
It's a good thing.
when I have to go to North Dakota, she's a little busy, but Hawaii, she's wide open. It's
Well,
interesting how that works.
well, we have a little saying like she's been in Philly for the last 10 days to take care of some of the real estate business because Vinny's in training camp. And Vinny, aside from training in the off season, he's up there in Philly. And hey, we're real excited just to say Gardner Minshew, the quarterback for the Eagles for a couple of years, and the guy did a great job with Indy last year. He just got picked up by the Raiders, and Gardner was living with Vinny because they trained together.
Oh, okay.
But Vinny, so I'm real excited about Gardner Minshew. But hey, it is what it is, and
Yeah.
you prepare yourself for it, right? They just tore down one of the biggest bridges that you could ever have right here in Jupiter that goes right over, and you're looking over at the intercoastal. People, because the end season now, after Easter, it's going to start clearing out.
Yeah.
The end season, and everybody's bitching and moaning about the traffic. I said, well, you know what? Why don't you just plan on 15 more minutes to
Yeah.
be in your car? Get serious, get music, do something, listening to a podcast. I said, just use that time wisely, instead of complaining about the traffic, because you're going to hit it.
What I appreciate is I've lived in California for 46 years, my entire adult life, but when I go to other places, Denver or Nashville, and they're like, "Oh, the traffic's getting like LA." I'm like, "No, it's not. No, it's not."
Nothing like the 5 or the 101. There is nothing like LA traffic.
No,
I
I'm like, "Yeah, it's LA traffic for about 6 miles, and then you're out in the middle of nowhere."
Yeah, that's when you're looking at your GPS and all you see is red.
Yeah,
And you're scrolling down, you know.
it's still red or orange. Yeah, I did that all last week. I was on.
What did we do? Think about this, Pete. What did we do without GPSs? Do you remember the day when you'd have your directions written down and then
Yeah, we had Thomas Guide Maps, and
light, you flick on the light overhead? You talk about traffic hazards and driving hazards worse than somebody being on the phone trying to read directions like this or that.
I often joke about if you took even like Gabby, anybody under 30, right, and said you get to travel to Miami, but you can't use any part of a computer, your smartphone. You get a phone, but it's just a phone. No texting. It's just a phone. How would you get there?
That was easy for us.
Well, yeah, for us, we used to do it.
Yeah, just write down 95. But before you had 95, what'd you do?
No, but I mean, even like booking from LA to Miami, how would you book a flight? How would you book a hotel? How would you get a car?
Hotel? No, that's a great story.
Yeah,
Well, like we did, I'll tell you what, one of the trips we did in Europe because Janet was so familiar with you. I mean, she's traveling around part of the USA team when she's 15, 6, 17 years old.
yeah,
And finally, we go over to see her girlfriend get married, and our daughter, Gabrielle, is 18 months old. And this was about, I don't know, 28 years ago to, less than 30 years ago. But we were driving through Europe for 6 weeks except for one case to go to the hotel where we were staying for the wedding. We didn't have a hotel room. But she was so confident that she would be able to go, and in spite of the language problem,
yeah.
we never ever had an issue. I just would pull up to this whatever really cool looking place, and she'd walk in, and she'd have the baby with her, and Gabrielle, she was it, and that was
Yeah.
her dog, but the baby will take the baby, and but that was a whole different. But back then, they didn't have kind of these GPSs.
No.
Wow. We were in Rome one time for crying out loud, and and all of a sudden we go around the bend and there was a Coliseum. And I had a pair of reading glasses, and I had them in my hand and the window was open. And I said, oh my God, the freaking Coliseum. And freaking was not the word I used.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I said, freaking Coliseum. And my glasses broke out. Now I don't have any reading glasses. And now I'm trying to, and I go to a pharmacy to try to get reading glasses and not speaking Italian, hey,
Yeah.
Vino, hey, what's up? How you doing? The Philly didn't work.
Yeah. It's a different Italian.
When you think about it, that's a good point. Yeah, we ought to do that sometime.
Yeah.
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 Half the kids can't read a map right now, but still, and then you go rent a car and then you'd have this thing, whatever. What was that thing that was the map, the
Thomas
navigator.
Brothers. We had the
Yeah,
Thomas Brother guide maps, the
yeah,
books.
they got that, and now you got this. Oh yeah, how long is it gonna take you to get from here to there?
Well, and this has my translation on it. You can translate languages when you're traveling.
Yeah.
I do that at rodeos. We get a lot of people from different countries that'll come to the rodeos. A lot of Brazilians, and they speak Portuguese. And so I just punch in, here's what's on sale, here's the prices, in English, and it literally speaks it back out in Portuguese.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah.
Well, as I say, you have more memory in this than what was on the spaceship that landed on the moon.
Moon, yeah.
I mean, it's pretty insane, and it's getting crazier too with AI. That really scares me.
AI is it's a little freaky.
Yeah, I got a feeling I'm going to be replaced by AI real soon. So put me out in the pasture, which would be all right. But retirement is not part of our language here in this house. No way.
No, but you know what they said? What I try to remind myself of is what I heard about AI was you won't be replaced by AI. You'll be replaced by somebody that knows how to use it better than you.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
But AI won't be able to have like AI can't speak as a Vince Papale for an underwriter's insurance. It just can't happen.
Yeah, maybe they'll try, but yeah, but they won't have some of this
No, yeah, they won't have any of it.
stories. And it's
Yeah.
a simple story. I mean, it's I always use this great quote that was given to me by my high school coach, who made such great impact when I was dealing with my mother's mental illness. And he said, "Happy are those who dream dreams and are willing to pay the price to make their dreams come true." I mean, that's a quote he gave me, George Corner. And the key word is, I point out at the audience, I said, "You're going to pay the price. What's the price to be paid?" And then I, being a school teacher, I get interactive with the stage. AI
Sure.
can't, but it comes from here. But that willingness to pay the price, and then you got the posers out there. Oh, I got this dream. And the bar is set so low. Oh my God, it just drives me crazy. Oh, anyway, don't get me going. I'll start
You,
going to somebody.
they don't have the fingers that you have.
They said I have a big hand. I don't know.
No, your left pinky finger.
Oh, my left pinky. Yeah, that's a Ron Jaworski fastball. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right across the middle. Bill Berge got it on a slant, and instead of the ball coming in like that, it came in like this. And when you're a marginal player,
I have
there you go.
I have fingers too.
Yeah, when you're a marginal player and you're the 43rd man on a 43-man roster,
Do
you just
whatever it takes.
you don't even go to the trainer on that one. Back then they were trainers, now they're athletic trainers.
I lost a tendon in this, and
Ooh,
I just taped it up, figuring, hey, it just sprained. And
that's
what
what
had
it is.
happened, the tendon had popped off and
Oh,
pulled it down in my hand.
oh,
And I just kept playing with it. And then when I finally went to the doctor, they're like, you crushed the tube that it goes through. So they just cut it out.
oh.
I was
Hey,
14,
it's called
15.
a box item.
They wanted to amputate it. I said, well, that's my wedding ring finger. So that's not a good idea.
I don't think my wife would like that. I don't wouldn't want to put the wedding ring on this finger.
Exactly. No comment.
This is a G-rated show, right?
Yeah, it is now. That was the first wife. That's what I was going to say. But
Oh, well,
yeah,
And there's my favorite song. God bless you, Toby Keith. I love you. And I had that, you're talking about number one. And that letter, you watched the movie, it was sent. And Toby has this great song, How Do You Like Me Now?
yeah.
And that's what I think about. It's just like, people, that's what it is. You never go anywhere, you never make any money, never make a name for yourself. Well, how do you like me now?
Yeah,
Just
pretty
in a,
fitting.
yep. Toby was great. I love country western.
I actually I never met Toby, but we one of the people we sponsor is Cowboy Troy, and he plays with Big and Rich.
Oh, really?
And so I've known Troy. Troy was my second guest on my show 6 years ago, and
Oh, cool.
Troy was in Vegas for the rodeo and signing autographs in our booth and all that. And I go, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" He goes, "Ah, we're playing tonight at the MGM." I said, "Oh, cool." I go, "There's still tickets." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, I go, "I don't want a free ticket. I'll buy my own ticket. I just want to know if there's still tickets available." He goes, "Well, let me see what I can do." He gets me on the list. I'm like, blessed, right? We go, Big and Rich was opening for Toby Keith. And so I go to the concert and I'm like, I don't know where the ticket is. And he was like, "Oh no, you have a wristband." And I'm like, "Okay, I mean, I'm beyond front row. I'm just on the side of the stage."
In the
So I have,
pit.
huh? Yeah, inside the pit. But I'm
Yeah.
like left of the pit. I'm like where the family people are and all that. And so Toby comes over and he's and it was incredible. It was a great night.
Oh, they are. They're just so friendly. In the Philly, there's a great venue that they have. It's right on the river in Camden in Philly. And I've got the chance. I actually got to meet a lot of these guys because of somebody that runs security, and now is running security for Kane Brown.
Okay.
And yeah, and through him I got to meet Luke and Cole Swindell and Toby was on another thing. And man, they're just the greatest guys. Go backstage, have a good old time. And Harry Chapin, the great Harry
Wow.
Chapin. Yeah, one time a friend of mine took me to Harry Chapin. He said, "Hey, this is Vince Papale from the Eagles." And Harry says, "Hey, man, you guys had a great gig last night in Atlanta, I heard." He said, "No, no, 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 no." And this is the guy that sprung the song "Taxi" this guy's my buddy Tony was up there in Boston. And he says, "Yeah, that was a great gig you did." So, and he said, "No, no, no, no." He said, "This is Vince Papale from the Philadelphia Eagles." I said, "What's your last name again?" And he says, "You're that old guy, right?" And he says, "You know what? I always wanted to play in the NFL." I said, "Well, you know what? I always wanted to be a rock star."
Yeah.
Well, you know what? He has me up on stage
Oh,
at the
wow.
second half, and I'm singing one of his songs, which was so cool. And then every concert when he had in Philadelphia, we would go out before the concert and have a catch with a football because he was a quarterback in college, and he wanted to have a catch, and that was our trade
Oh,
off.
that is cool.
So yeah, taxi man. So
That's
much fun. I mean, Jesus, this is what it's all about, Pete. All these people you run into and think about as part of my life now, and the experiences that I've had, our children have, my wife has, their families had, and be able to share it with a lot of other people.
yeah.
This is so exciting. I look at this memorabilia here, and I'm looking right here with a picture of me and Mark, and just say, how blessed am I, that this saw what happened. And I would have been blessed regardless, but this is
Yeah.
even more blessing. It's pretty cool. And to make it, and the key thing is to hopefully make an impact. So
Well,
I had a conversation last night with a kid with a Facebook for a half hour that was 8 years old. And I
oh,
was his idol. And I just did a cameo for his parents. I do cameos.
yeah.
And I did a cameo for the kid. And I said, he's going to write a story about me. I said, "You know what? You want to, I'll tell you, we'll work together on this one." So, I mean, how cool was that? I was, Janet's not here. I'm a
Yeah,
free
yeah.
agent, you know, so
The taskmaster is out, so
whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But I got a lot of things checked off. So
I know the feeling. I do the same thing because I'm on the road. I'm traveling a lot. So when I come home, she's like, "Okay, here's your to-do list."
it's all right.
Oh
No
yeah,
problem.
that's what we're here for.
As hard as my wife works and as much as what she does and pulls together here that I don't have to deal with the crap, especially, when you got to be on, man, when you're out there speaking, that's a lot of pressure. That's like being a quarterback in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You can't throw an interception, you can't you can't get sacked, you can't do an incompletion, and you're speaking to total strangers, and that was used to be terrifying to start. Now it's okay, it's what I do. So hey Vince, do you get nervous? I don't get nervous, but it's game day, man. When I wake up and I have to do an event, it's game day. I know it's game day. All of a sudden, my whole demeanor of the body, everything changes like that.
I know the feeling. I did that this morning.
I took my bike ride. That's where I dropped my car off for service, And I had to be. We were at the traffic. I had to be aware of the families walking their dogs and their children on this and all that stuff on the sidewalk because I'm still not real comfortable running on the street. So, but you just go off on a driveway and then you
Yeah.
come back. Hey, how you doing?
The one thing I've gotten from you and prior to the movie, all the interviews I've seen online, is the incredible sense of gratitude that you have. And it seems like you've always had it, but is that something is that because of your mom? Is that because of your dad? Is that?
Well, I probably, they didn't have a heck of a lot. They
Yeah.
were both one of eight. They're from immigrant families, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I grew up in a housing project. I mean, our house wasn't as big as this garage for crying out loud, and that's what I grew up in. But it was okay, and all these things, and to become a school teacher and to make an impact and become a coach, it wasn't about money. It was about it was about a placement. Where I was, could I help? Could I be this? Could I impact somebody? So I signed my first teaching contract for $4,800. $4,800. And then we got a raise over the summer. I got 54. Now I became the head track coach and they gave me $800. I'm teaching, I'm working 9 months out of the year and I'm getting less than 7,000 a year.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the money, it was about doing what I love doing. And I'm so fortunate to have all this around me. But more than anything, it's not the physical things, it's the memories.
Sure. The people.
The thought of you were talking about, your daughter being a gymnast. Gabby was a gymnast prior to my wife, my hand shaking. I'm taking videos of her when she's on the balance beam.
Yeah.
Or, watching Vinny try out for the USA team, high school team, in Jersey City, Jersey, right on the other side of New York. And there's 500 guys. And to them, he's only Vinny. Vinny just said, Dad, step away. Just get out of the way. I said, I don't want to see you. And he went and he did it on his own and wound up catching a touchdown against the Canadians in Dallas.
There you go.
And those kinds of things, that you can't put a price tag on it. And, the 30 years I've just had with Janet, she's not my first wife, but I've had all my children with her and it's a beautiful thing. And the kids, I mean, geez, oh man, we just told you, where I'm going I'll be gone every weekend for the next 10 weeks, starting Easter. So
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have pictures of my daughter in the wedding dress, but I can't share them. Because obviously my future son-in-law can't see the dress. So I have to do it one by one. There's no social media thing. I have to actually send out the pictures and say, hey, don't share this, but
yeah. Hey, well, maybe she'll get lucky and, get this guy. So it's pretty cool, but hey, it's all good, and we have fun together, and we have this cute little group chat that we all have. And it's hilarious that, some of the stuff. It was a 2-year anniversary yesterday with Gabrielle and her boyfriend. And, just some of the comments going back and forth, especially from Vinny, because he's got a wicked sense of humor. And the younger brother, he just loves like that. Gabby, but Gabby's got game. She's got her mom's game because you don't mess with Janet. They call her the bulldog. So
are you still going to do the podcast with Gabby or?
Yeah. Well, matter of fact, we got on. Some stuff was happening and things that she had to deal with in terms of business and getting herself situated and moved, and there was a lot of stuff. So we decided after the Super Bowl, we've got it. One of my first guests is going to be Carl. It's going to be Doug and Jeannie Peterson, and we're going to get them together. We're going to talk about they've been together since their high school days, and what it's like to be with the player, the wife of a player. And also, and she was a great athlete also in college and high school, and how they coexist and get together and the things they've got to deal with. I don't think it's ever been done before. So that's one of the things. I got Dick from me. I got Berg lined up. I've got a couple people from the U.S. Soccer team that are from the Philadelphia area. Got them all lined up. So yeah, we're going to start up probably right after Easter.
Okay.
It's called Gabbing with Invincible. And there's a few, there's about 6 episodes out there right now. So Gabbing with Invincible.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Thank you.
So I'm excited you're getting to get that started up again.
Yeah, thanks for the pitch. And if anybody what needs a great sedative, I'm out there speaking. So you can catch me at vincepapale.com. You just go to, book Vince, and there's an interactive form, and it just comes right to me.
You can get all the Vince gear. You got a couple books out. So
I have a couple books out. I have the real story, and that was written by ESPN, and then I have the potential, reach your full potential, and that's what Be Invincible, a playbook for reaching your full potential. That's a movie. That's a book between Janet and me, and then The Last Laugh, Dennis Franks and I wrote, and we came up with the Victor's Code. And they talk about the last laugh. We all get that last laugh when people tell you that you can't do something that's impossible, undoable, or unthinkable. And in the end, when you do it, you get the last. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I appreciate the time. I'll make sure to share all the links so people can.
I hope so, Pete. I'll get them out there. I mean, this has been a ball, man. It's great to see you. It's great. It was great to see you out there in Vegas, and it's even great to hang with you now.
If you have any spare time in LA, I'll drive you around.
All right, let's go. Yeah, well, and we'll get Mark Ciardi on my. He's out there. Mark Ciardi and Gordon Gray. And Ken Mock. They're the producers of our movie. I still connect with them. I should send you this great picture I took with Mark Ciardi that we did when I was out there about a year ago. And in the background, like I have in this background here, in my background, are all the pictures that he's produced, all the sports movies.
Wow. Well, I mean, you're talking Miracle, The Rookie.
Oh yeah, Miracle, Rookie, The New Guy. The one out the ultimate underdog. And he's got a couple out there. But Secretariat, and not to mention one of my favorite movies, Invincible.
Invincible. So yeah, that must be a cool setup he's got there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There it is.
Oh, there you go.
Invincible. So Greg Kinnear, Elizabeth Banks. I mean, sorry about that book. But yeah, they did a great job, and I'm still in touch with them all. So they say that's rare. And I'm good, I'm good buddies with Rudy. We've connected. I do a lot of card shows. I'll be out there in Memphis. I mean, in Nashville doing some stuff. But it's pretty cool. And there's another guy, great guy, Rudy, great story.
Daniel Rudiger, yeah.
Yeah, Mark and I are still tight. We text all the time. He loves my children.
Well, he's in Vegas now. You should have saw him. I wonder if he was there during the.
Yeah, well, we tried. I had such a busy schedule, and he had a crazy schedule. He was going to be at one place, and they already said there was going to be 5,000 to 10,000 people there. Like, you know what? And when he got down here, he came to Rocco's Tacos in Del Rey, which is 30 miles south of here. It was great enough because as soon as he saw Janet, my wife's Janet, he says, "Oh my God, my family's here." What? Or Gabrielle, Vinny. Yeah, but Janet, my family's here. So pretty cool.
That's very cool. Well, I appreciate the time, and
yeah, appreciate you, Pete. This has been awesome, man. I appreciate it a lot. Good luck to you and your children and your kids and your family. So appreciate it.
Enjoy the next few weeks.
I will. Absolutely. Happy Easter, everybody.
Yeah. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Vince.
Yeah, bud.